I got a mean comment on a video the other day about my body. You shouldn't really let these things get under your skin, but it kind of did for me. So I thought I'd do a video on my journey and why I may not be the most lean or jacked coach, but why it might be worthwhile still listening to me if you want to get a bit leaner or have a healthy and balanced life, or you're a dad trying to juggle a lot of different things. And then you can judge for yourself if you think I'm worth listening to. I was an overweight kid from primary school all the way through to high school. I was often bullied for it, and I was always the fat kid in my group of friends. Not a lot of physical activity, a lot of snacks, and a lot of video games made for a pretty poor combination. I was always really self-conscious of the way that I looked, to the point where even into my 20s I would be sucking in my stomach even if I was in decent shape, just so that I would look better to other people. And then as I got to about 16, 17, I ended up discovering the gym with my brother, and that really excited me. It's about 12, 13 years ago now where I started really enjoying learning about weight training and nutrition and reading books and articles and forum posts all about the subject. Early on, I injured my lower back, which did cause a few setbacks throughout the years, but the biggest issue for me was three things. Number one, I was trying fad diets like keto and carb backloading to try and cheat results. Number two, probably wasn't training hard enough. Number three, I never really stuck to one phase of training. I always kind of flitted around. I was half trying to build muscle, half trying to lose fat, and I never really committed myself to any one goal for fear that I would fuck it up or fail. And shortly after that, I did discover the if it fits your macros approach and counting calories and macronutrients and flexible dieting, which I really enjoyed. Ended up doing a course with Precision Nutrition to get my nutrition certification, and started working with Alice Round as one of the top coaches here in WA. I was working with Alice as a mindset nutrition coach because my background is in life coaching and mindset and neurolinguistic programming, or NLP. And so combining the mindset stuff with all the knowledge I was gaining from all the leaders in the scientific space and following their articles and their research reviews on learning about nutrition and training and how to actually apply it to humans, to people with lives, as opposed to just people that are in studies who have every variable controlled. Then it came time to apply it to myself. And just as I had started my first real muscle gain phase, I ended up tweaking my lower back quite badly while I was squatting, and I stopped training because of it, but I kept eating like I was bulking, which basically just means you got fat. Ended up gaining about 30 kilos, and my heaviest, I was about 105 kilos. I had all this knowledge and I was helping people get results, but I had never really applied it to myself because I was still dealing with coping with my injury and coping with the emotional stuff, because at the end of the day, what I was really lacking was a lot of self-love. So when I was younger, I was so self-conscious, I was, sucking in my stomach, but what I got to the point of was starting to make myself throw up after certain meals if I thought they were too calorie dense or they weren't on track with my goals, and that was a really unhealthy pattern. I wouldn't say I had bulimia, but I was relatively close to it. I had some serious emotional issues to deal with before I could really get my health back on track. Funnily enough, when I was my heaviest, I actually met my now wife. This is in 2018. And this was a similar time that I set the goal for myself to get abs for the first time in my life. It was helped by my brother-in-law, Calvin, who said, you're helping people with nutrition, you're helping people with their bodies. It's only fitting that you should be going on that journey yourself, because he could see how unhealthy I was actually getting. So I said, you know what, I'm going to commit to this and I'm going to get abs, which I did. Over about 2.5 years, in August of 2020, I did a photo shoot where I got my first set of abs out on camera, and I was pretty proud of myself. I had lost about 30 kilos, just over 35 kilos in that time, in order to get down to that weight. And this is in the middle of COVID. So I finally achieved my goal. And then it was kind of like, now what? I'd never really gone on a proper muscle gain phase still at that time. So I was lean, but I really didn't have a lot of muscle mass. But then life kind of took over. I had a bit of a break from training and tracking because I'd been doing it for the last 2.5 years consistently, day in, day out, to get that result. And I just needed a break, which wasn't a bad thing, but in that break, I was building a new house, I was getting married, so we were planning a wedding, and there were a lot of things going on. I had some new job responsibilities and new roles at work, so time was a limiting factor. And as for a lot of people, fitness ended up taking the back burner for a little while. But it was okay, because there's phases to life, and there's always going to be a spring and a summer and a winter and a fall in all areas of life. And that just wasn't the phase for me to be focusing on getting as much muscle mass as possible. Until finally, I ended up reaching out to Trav to give me some accountability to help get shredded for the wedding, because it rhymes, so it must be good. Ended up getting abs back for my wedding and then for my honeymoon. And then I had some goals to gain some muscle mass in the 9 months post my wedding, but we got pregnant on our honeymoon. And then I ended up getting COVID, and then we got the flu. There was just a lot that ended up inhibiting me. And then we had a baby. And since then, my goals have kind of shifted a little bit. I have wanted to gain some muscle mass, and I've gone on a nice slow bulk since my daughter's been born. She's 10 months old now, and I've gained about 4 to 5 kilos of solid muscle mass in that time, which I'm really proud of. But at the same time, I could go on a cycle of steroids and become jacked, and then everyone online would want to listen to what I have to say, because clearly I walk the talk, right? I've got the big arms, I've got the abs out. To me, that'd just be fucking disingenuous. I have a daughter and a wife to think about. So me being the most jacked on camera doesn't actually fucking matter. What matters to me is getting the dads that I work with results. At the end of the day, I'd much rather you judge me on the quality of the information that I put out there. If it resonates with you, awesome. Because all I want to do is make sure that dads start prioritizing themselves and their health and the goals that actually matter to them. It might not be getting the most jacked. Maybe they just want to move a bit better and be able to run and keep up with their kids, and they don't care about looking like Chris Hemsworth. Anyway, listen to me or not. That's my story.